Good morning, students. How are you all? Hope you all are fine. Open your content book SST. Remember, last time we have learned block number 10, the new empires and kingdoms. Here we have learned about the new empires and the kingdoms. Now, moving on forward, today we are going to learn the architecture of our past. How, when these kingdoms emerged, new kingdoms, according to the culture, the architecture also developed. What was this architecture about? And we'll compare it to our today's architecture. Let's see how the architecture was done in the past. Block number 11, architecture of our past. You have seen the changes in the architecture right from the Stone Age till now. Various changes have occurred in the architecture. A tremendous change and many developments exist. You think right from the Stone Age till now, development, research, and too many changes are there. Here, today we look how humans have mastered the art of creating and designing buildings and monuments, which is called architecture. During past, most of the monuments were built for political and religious purposes. And today they are part of our rich culture and heritage. But while studying this topic, we should keep in mind that this architecture they were created at the time where modern techniques were not there. Means of transport, techniques, tools, and development like today was not there. So you can think about how difficult it was, what a challenging work it was to develop an architecture without any modern techniques or tools. See page number 92 of your content book. It's a comic strip. You go through that comic strip and then you'll come to know what this lesson is about, how they are finding the architecture, what they are talking, and what is the purpose of this. You'll get an overall idea with this comic strip. In this chapter, we are going to study various architecture's monument like pillar, stupas and monasteries, temples, caves, and all various monuments built during that time. Also, we will compare all these monuments with today's architecture and see how finely they designed it, what all efforts they took to do it, how these craftsmen and engineers worked, what all difficulties and challenges they faced, and built such a good and strong monuments. First, we look out to the pillars. We all know Emperor Ashoka has used pillar and rock edicts to spread the message of Dhamma throughout his empire. Here in figure 2, you can see figure 2a and 2b. These pillars were made and which were used by many rulers to mark their victory and to spread social and political messages. When they used to build the pillars or such monuments, there was some purpose. This purpose was to spread social or political messages. The most famous among the pillars is the lion capital of Sarnath in Uttar Pradesh. See the figure 2A. This was erected on the orders of Emperor Ashoka. This was erected on the orders of Emperor Ashoka. The lion capital features four lions that seated back to back. The main column of the pillar remain in the same place where it was originally erected, whereas the top part of this column, which is known as lion capital, is displayed at the Sarnath Museum. This lion capital has been adopted as the national emblem of India, while the symbol of the wheel or Ashok Chakra from its base has been placed into the center of the flag of India. The pillar of Allahabad has inscriptions by Ashoka and bears the Prashasti of Samudragupta. These pillars were made up of stone. They were carved on a single piece of stone. Such a fine carving was there. And it has a purpose, a motive. And these monuments were placed on the borders of cities or the entrance of cities, which had inscriptions, social message, political message, or what the king did. Like Prashasti. Prashasti means to write for to praise, to write writing to praising someone. So this Prashasti is also was done on these monuments, and it bears whose Prashasti? Samudragupta. These pillars had usually two sections. The upper part, which was made up of a single piece of stone. The shaft was always plain, smooth, circular, and narrow towards the top. And the top part was known as capital, while the below part was shaft. This too was carved out of a single piece of stone. And the most significant feature about this stone pillar was, yes, it was polished. Such a finely it was polished that on seeing it you would confused whether it is a stone or a metal. So shining and fine polished it was done. By this you can make out the skill of the craftsman and the engineer. How skilled person they were. Such a fine art, such a fine work. Another famous example is the iron pillar at Mehruli in Delhi. This pillar is about 7 meters tall and weighs more than 3 tons. The inscriptions engraved on it suggest that the pillar belongs to the time of Chandragupta of the Gupta dynasty. Some inscriptions were also carved on these monuments, like information of the pillar, information of that king, or during which period it was made. Today, still historians are unable to make out where this pillar was originally located, and the craftsmanship of this pillar is such a wonderful that over 1500 years it has withstood heat, rain, and yet not shown any sign of rusting. The top part or the capital of this pillar is also beautifully carved and is a fine example of metal casting. You understood about the pillars, what all it contains of the messages and the fine art and the carving, inscriptions, the polish. Today you can just compare with our monuments. What monuments today we have designed or built. If you compare, today's architecture stands nowhere. 1500 years and still it is same. It has not sign of any rusting. Moving forward, we'll study about the stupas and the monasteries. What do you mean by stupas? Stupas is an mound built. The word stupa means mound built on the remaining of Buddha or Bodhisattvas. It was a monument built after Buddha. After Buddha, when he attained parinirvana or salvation, he was cremated and his ash were divided into eight parts. His ash was divided into eight parts and sent to the kingdom where he visited. And over there, this ash or his disciples, the followers of Buddha preaching, his disciples, that is Bodhisattva, when they died, these ash or their remainings, such as teeth, bones, or such remaining part, this part where they were used to put in a box and place on earth, and above that they used to build a stupa, which is a meditating place, and it was designed in a dome shape where the followers of this religion or this caste or the saints, the monks, they used to go and meditate, and the shape was like a dome shape. These stupas were constructed using bricks and stone slabs. Usually, a path is laid around the stupa called pradakshina. Devotees walk along this path in a clockwise direction as a mark of respect. Among these stupas, there are two famous stupas, stupas of Dhamek and Sachi stupa. The Dhamek stupa, situated at Sarnath, which is probably the oldest stupa, and the Sachi stupa, here you can see in figure 4 and 5. It is believed that these two stupas were built on the remains of the Buddha. The stupas were not constructed by any one single ruler. Different rulers added a variety of features over a long period of time. For example, the Sachi stupa was built by Ashoka, but it was beautifully beautified by railings and a gateway by rulers who came after Ashoka. The gateway of Sachi stupa is beautifully carved with tales from the Buddha's life. This was stupas, and monasteries. Monasteries were caves, caves carved in a rock cut. This was a rock cut caves where the monks of Buddhism and Jainism, Jain and Buddhist monk lived here. These monasteries, there were rooms for staying and a huge hall. It was a prayer hall. These monks used to live in the room and they used to gather in that hall for prayer. These rooms were called vihars and the hall was called as chaityas, where these monks used to gather together and pray. This chaityas or this hall, praying hall, it was decorated with beautiful carving. Pillars were carved. This hall were these walls. This big hall or the chaityas were carved with a beautiful design. It's interesting to note these caves are hollows on rock surface. Some of the famous ones are Ajanta and Ellora caves near Aurangabad in Maharashtra. The Ajanta caves are cut in a horseshoe shape and took centuries to complete. And here, one interesting feature is also there. And what is that? The sunlight enters through the rock cut doorways to fall directly on the stupa, and the idol of Buddha is placed in the cave. When sunlight comes from the rock cut through the door, it directly falls on the stupa where the idol of Buddha is kept. See the fine designing, the way of engineering, the direction, such nicely designed. So the design, today's design and their design, they were not having such modern techniques or machines or tools, but still they were able to design or to craft or to carve in such a finest way. In these monasteries, the monk used to stay and pray. And during rainy season, these caves or these monasteries were very helpful as these monks, it was very difficult for them to travel in the rainy season. So they used to stay here and they used to teach or preach about Lord Buddha or Jainism according to their culture. So you understood what is stupas and monasteries. Stupas are the meditating place and it has a particular shape, dome like. And monasteries are caves in a rock cut where these monks used to stay and preach. Okay, moving forward, there were many architecting or this architecture a fine example of temples also. During this period, temples also were built in such a fine way. The differences of temples of north and south, the making of temple and its carving, very very interesting and very good. And all the temples, although there were some common things in the temple, all the temples were unique in itself. Let's see which temples and how it was. Here in figure 8 you can see the Bhitargaon temple. Bhitargaon temple. This was found in a ruined place. Temple was found in a ruined place in 1877 to an English archaeologist Alexander Alexander Cunningham, an English archaeologist, found this temple and started the repair work. He discovered a number of terracotta panels during his excavation around the temple. The bricks discovered during this excavation were used in the restoration of the temple. Some temples were built by carving a single piece of stone or rock. In South India, the temple of Mahabalipuram, you can see in figure 9, has been carved out of one single rock or monolith rock. The Durga temple of Aihole in figure 10 in Karnataka, which is also a stone cut temple, was built by the ruler of Chalukya dynasty about 1400 years ago. Here it is also called as a cradle of rock cut temples. And here the Durga word, this the meaning of this Durga word is fort and not the goddess Durga. This temple has unique features like the gateway or the entrance, the kalash, a pyramid like its top, and a huge prayer hall, and a small room for an idol where the priest used to perform a holy ritual in this small room, and people used to sit or stand in the big hall. This hall was carved with a beautiful carvings and design, the outer side, the inner side. It was also very beautifully carved. The pillars were also very beautifully carved with the designs and the culture during that time. Like Durga temple, again one monolithic temple, which is a fine sculpture of Lord Shiva and the other god and goddesses, is in the Kailashnath temple in Ellora caves. And where these Ellora caves are? In Maharashtra. Temple was built on the order of Rashtrakuta dynasty in the 8th century Common Era. As these temples were made of stone, they have survived for many centuries, unlike the temple in the north. Some temples in the north are built using terracotta panels and bricks, but in the south, the temples are built or carved in a single piece of stone or built of stone. So, in spite of natural calamities, these temples survived. Comparing North Temple, in comparison to North Temple, the South temples are stronger than the North. In spite of natural calamities, they are still standing over there. To build such monuments, it took lot of planning. Usually, kings and queens would order to construct of a temple, as it was very difficult and expensive. That common people, it was impossible for them to think about to build a temple, as the modern techniques were not there. The craftsmen, the engineers, their staying, their accommodation, their pay, and a lack or weak transport system. It needed a fine stone, a very good quality stone, and the stone were brought to the construction site where they were shaped or carved, and it took a long procedure due to lack of the techniques or modern tools. It was a long procedure. So for the workers to provide food or their revenue or their remuneration, their money, it was a very costly task, expensive task. So such kind of work only rich persons or the kings or queens used to order to make. This carving or such kind of temples need a very skillful precision. The making of such temple would start from top and then move downwards. In this kind of building process, If worker makes a mistake, single mistake, it could ruin the entire constructions. Many of the panels and pillars of these monuments bear the names of men and women. These names could have been of those people who donated gift as well as money for the building of the monument. Sometimes rich devotees donated expensive material that were used in construction. The people who were not rich enough to give gifts helped with the labor work like cutting rocks and transporting material. In this way, common people also used to help in building the temple. So you understood the entire content. Thousands of years before, mostly 1500, we have seen 1400. These monuments are still in a very good condition, still they exist. If you compare today's sculpture or today's architecture with them, I don't think we stand anywhere. The way they carved, the way they polished, and all this carving was handmade. No machines or no modern tools were used. Still, these monuments are in existence and not a single sign of rusting is also there. So, after this, you go through the lesson, see your doubts, check your doubts, pick your doubts, and during our online class, we'll solve all these doubts. Okay, so let's meet in the online lecture, solve the PDF given, and try to solve your workbook, because next online lecture we are just going to discuss the workbook answers. I am not going to tell the answers. So before that, be ready, hear this audio, see the video, read the lesson, and note down the answers, and also complete your workbook. Okay, till then, bye bye, have a good day.